Hello, this is the LEGO Ninjago ShuriCopter for Season 11, a portmanteau of shuriken and helicopter. And I know, LEGO makes a lot of helicopters. But I'll tell you this, they don't make a lot of helicopters like this. This is a pretty unique build, and it's rather large for a single-seater. Not one of the larger ones that they've ever done, but it actually feels like it's appropriately scaled to a minifigure, as if almost realistic style for an attack helo. The main thing that makes this interesting to me as a build is the bend in it. You can see you have a distinct axis right here, so if I level things off, you have a nice horizontal plane that you're essentially building upon right there. But then the tail section in the rear of the fuselage is parallel to the ground now, parallel/perpendicular. And yet you have this space under here which appears to be aligned properly, even though it's on the front section. Oh, it's really nicely done. You need to check out the build for this if you have any interest in it whatsoever. It's ultimately just hinged inside of there, but they make a nice use of a combination of Technic pieces and just regular system pieces, and there is a geared mechanism in there. The rotor blades are able to be spun up remotely by turning this thing. Almost looks like the exhaust of an engine, like a main engine, and then maybe these are just thrusters for forward flight on the sides. That's actually really cool because ultimately you can grab this whole thing just by the tail boom, and then rotate this with a single finger. And I love the fact that it's not a bright red knob with a sticker on the end of it showing that, oh, you can turn this. Because if you build this, you know that the feature is there. You don't need to be told about it and reminded about it constantly. And if you didn't build it yourself, you will find out about this feature very quickly, because you'll do this and you'll see this turning. You're like, oh, I can do that, So definitely with the lower key integration of action feature actuators, that is always a good thing. Interesting combinations of everything from a spinner top here to some helicopter blades, traditional helicopter blades done in trans light blue there to represent some ice crystal shards. This is a large action figure piece right here. The new shuriken blade supersized in a translucent light blue. This actually is able to spin on its own, sort of. It has a tire on the underside to get a little bit of grip with the ground. So if you are making low runs with this, you can just see that spin up, which looks very cool. It looks very nice when it's spinning very quickly. Or you can just do it with your finger like that, but it doesn't tend to spin, or it doesn't tend to continue to spin along. You also have these stud shooters on the sides, the 6 stud shooters. I don't recommend using those, but you can activate those by rotating these little engines on the sides. So another well integrated feature. If you want to use it, just beware that you will probably lose many of those studs pretty quickly. They do give you some extras, but it's rarely enough. I do wish that the side was covered up just a little bit more so that you didn't see inside of there, especially the yellow and the red that you can see from the outside, but it's not bad. It's definitely an enjoyable build. Also, there's a bit of a gap right here that's a little bit awkward, that just kind of, I don't know, breaks from the excellence otherwise of the combinations of different shapes together. Interesting use of meat cleavers on the front to give it just some different textures, kind of a type of thing that you would expect to see on a modular building. You can bring those down if you want, I suppose. Do different things with it. Use them as actual weapons. I think that doesn't look so bad just like that. Gives them a little bit more visibility as well. Canopy has a large sticker on it. Clear backed sticker on a clear piece. All the stickers are clear backed, but some of them do have white within them. But there are a fair number of stickers on this. I'd say more than I like, more than I'm happy with, but fortunately none of them are really important. None of them are really critical to the appearance of the whole thing. None of them really contribute much to its apparent shape or anything. This all just opens up, and there's enough room for Zane to sit in there very easily, but not with his katana. You do need to remove that. I just left the shurikens in his hands because why not? He might just be direct linked to the flight controls. I mean, he is a robot after all. And yeah, I think it's a cool build. It works well, easy to grab, nice and sturdy. different. Good size. Not bad. Not bad at all. In a move that is uncommon, especially these days, they did not include a bad guy build. Didn't even try. Didn't even put in a little weapon stand or some very, very lame turret or cannon with just a single stud shooter on it or anything. They just put all of their effort and all of their budget into making the ShuriCopter itself, and I'm okay with that. Not everything needs to have forced conflict in it. You know, some things can be just a specific set that's dedicated to doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And this is a ShuriCopter set. It's all about the ShuriCopter, but they do include one bad guy. It's General Vex here. He has one of the scrolls of Forbidden Spinjitsu there. Nice weapon, which is a new mold for 2019. It's translucent. It's dual molded, so a little bit translucent at the tip, then it does become opaque towards the base of it. And this is a really good looking figure, very complete with its color scheme and its level of armoring and everything. And there's what he looks like stripped down to the basics, so you can see the rest of the torso print. And his face more clearly and completely. Has the translucent arm on one side. Unfortunately, no alternate face though. Would have been nice to get something mouth open, kind of barking out orders to the troops. I think that would have been appropriate. Here's Zane in his new regular outfit. His blue color is dark azure, and the band around his head is in just light gray. So they brought the light gray in as a fairly prominent accent, just to add a little extra to it so there's not too much white, but it doesn't have too much contrast. I like this. I think actually that the strap for the scabbard may feel a little bit dark, but it's supposed to integrate with that common part that's used throughout the entire team. But I think that's the only thing that I personally would have changed. There's a little bit of metallic base behind that as well. You can see a little bit of shine coming off of it. And overall, I think it's a pretty good looking figure. Zane's face there. Of course, he doesn't have an alternate face. He just has a plug-in port. And there's the rest of that back torso print. And then here's JFS for Forbidden Spinjitsu with the dual molded cowl with the elemental flame coming out the back. It looks from most angles like it's blue and trans bright green. But that's just because the blue comes through so much. It's actually trans neon yellowish, greenish yellow. What a lot of people call green, but it's actually more yellow. It's the same color as this that I'll show you again in just a second. But yeah, it's more yellow than green, and you just see green for the most part because of the dual molding and the way the light is refracting. It's just pulling a lot of the blue up into it, which is interesting. I was totally fooled. When I built this, I was 100% certain it was trans bright green, and I was going to say something about it, like, oh, that's an interesting choice, rather than going with the greenish yellow. But nope, I was wrong. Yeah, anyway, interesting. But there he is with his regular faces. And like I said, here's this again. It's Jay's Forbidden Spinjitsu Tornado, or Cyclone. And it has glitter in it, in addition to the very neon color. Blue at the base, and it just has the usual setup. Put them in there and try to spin them, and probably fail on the first try. Yep. Spare parts for this set are dominated by the two other Forbidden Spinjitsu scrolls, which are included on each set that has any one of them, because they're all printed together, and then a bunch of extra studs for you to lose on the 6-stud shooters, and one pristine, unused set of golden shuriken. So, just another Lego helicopter? I don't know, kind of depends on your point of view. I think that it's pretty special and different. In my opinion, it's probably the best helicopter that they've done. Well, the one for the rebooted season, I'm thinking just for Ninjago. The one for the rebooted season was pretty good, but this is up there, and it's cheaper and has a very interesting build. And I only just noticed that the tip of the blade there is supposed to be trans light blue. I guess it is, but there's just so much of the the gunmetal gray that gets in there that you're not able to really see that. It would have been nicer if these came out that way, but every one that I've seen so far is close to this, where it's mostly gray. You just get a little bit translucent towards the tip, regardless of the color. But anyway, that's really not that big of a deal. Do I feel like there's $30 US worth of value here? Yes, I do. Because when I look at the helicopter itself, the ShuriCopter, it's sizable. And I'd say it's probably larger than most $30 builds from Lego, period. And I do feel like, the price to part ratio is excellent. It does have a fair number of 1x1 pieces, mostly for the stud shooters, but it has a fair number of large pieces as well. And the action features are nicely done. They're interesting. The whole thing is sturdy. It's an interesting aesthetic design. Plays well, I think. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I think that it is a good deal. If you like what you see, then I think you'll get your money's worth out of it. If you don't like what you see, if you just don't like the appearance of it at first glance, then maybe check out the builds. It might help change your mind, but it's definitely not the type of thing that's a must buy. If you think you don't like it, I'm not going to push you in the direction of buying it. It's not that special. It's not one of those things that will just completely blow your mind as you put it together or when you get it in your hands. But it is good. I think it's as good as it looks, if not a little bit better, especially if you have the privilege of actually going through the assembly process. Speaking of which, I have documented that assembly process. I have moved back up to 60 frames per second for my speed builds, and I have improved sound, much improved sound, for the real-time build, if you prefer to have something to just throw on in the background. Always improving, or at least trying. Thanks for your support, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Yay!